going to be tackling a big subject today, and that's diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. You are our DEIA officer, and as such, I depend on you, Denise, to ensure that the organization of VetJobs and military spouse jobs doesn't just check a box to hire you into our DEIA situation and say, okay, we have diversity and we have inclusion and we have accessibility. We want to live it. We just don't want to speak it. This is an organization that has always embraced it. In fact, we won an award in 2004, the only one to win this award from DOD on diversity. But Denise, I just don't think as an organization we've done enough, and I'll be the first to admit that. So in that light, I'm going to ask you a very tough question. As a founder and CEO who's Caucasian, have I, in the way I've run my operation, in the way that I've hired, the way that I've terminated, the way that I have promoted, have I really done the best that I could do to promote women, to promote minorities, to promote the people who should be in a position, or did I let the fact I'm Caucasian and the way I was raised? I was raised in a very rough neighborhood, extremely rough neighborhood, East St. Louis, Illinois. I'm not a diva. I've worked really hard all my life for what I have. But as a Caucasian employer who wants to live the diversity and equity and inclusion and accessibility model, what is an employer to do first?
Well, so first and foremost, thanks for including me in this really important topic. And, you know, sometimes we get caught up in the media and the trends of, you know, we need to be more inclusive and we need to have more diversity. So I specifically wore this necklace today. One, my house is called Dragonfly Summer. I do live at the beach, but one of the things that dragonflies symbolize is change. And as leaders, as, you know, individuals, our mindsets, we need to be about change. Sometimes we get stagnated and we get to a certain age, we have this many degrees and it's hard to make changes. But I always say when we learn something and we might be criticized for something, don't take that to heart. Take that to be about change. And I think that that's what's so important. And, you know, and it's about having a leader's heart. And that's who you are and who you represent. This organization, you know, we work virtually a lot, but what I see in you, no matter where we are, even at the board meeting, you're going around the room talking to the people that are, you know, putting glasses on the table, and you're saying hello to them, and you're so warm. You might be sitting in an airport for several hours and everybody else is disgruntled, but you're going up to the counter just to see if, you know, that individual that's may not have had a good day. And it doesn't matter what color, what race, what gender, you know, you have a leader's heart. And I really think that our, you know, leadership, that is what is so important.
Denise, thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And I think one of the reasons I do that is because I came up through frontline service. You know, all of my jobs prior to, you know, executive management inside of Concentra and American Airlines, everything was frontline service, and that's what I relate to. When I get stuck, Denise, when I don't know how to address something that would not encompass the culture that we are continuing to build at VetJobs and military spouse jobs, I come to you for the hard questions, like, Denise, do I say Black? Do I say African American? Do I say Asian? Do I say Latino? Do I say South American? I am so caught up in terms that I feel a lot of anxiety now embracing the very open conversation. And thank you so much for recognizing that I would rather talk to the person who's setting the table than the chef. Because I mean, everybody wants to talk to the chef. I want to talk to the people setting the table. But I am finding it increasingly difficult to talk to anyone as much as I talk as a fundraiser in in believing, Denise, that I might step in it. And then when I do step in it accidentally, I don't want to sing in it. But more importantly, how do I pull myself out of it? So how do I move forward in this world as a fundraiser, as a founder, as a president of two major organizations? How do I continue my conversations without offending anyone because I'm not using the right terms?
Well, and I think that what happens when DEI representatives, professionals, coordinators in organizations, I think that there are thoughts that they're only there to help for HR, and
Good.
they're only there to help internally, but they should be also counselors, advisors, in their roles. And sometimes I know that it can feel uncomfortable. I mean, there's a separation of professional, and if you're fortunate enough, like we are, to have a personal relationship, there's an ease with that to ask those questions. And not saying that sometimes you have to cross the line, because I know sometimes it's hard to make that division, but you still should, as long as you treat people the way that you want to be treated, then that resonates in how you ask those questions to those DEIA individuals.
So, Denise, let's say that I have to terminate someone of color and they come back to me and they say, "You discriminated against me," when I have documentation that they're just not a good fit in the organization anymore. How do I handle that?
Well, and you said it right there. It's about documentation. Facts are facts, whether you're white, brown, purple, yellow, whatever it is. If you are not creating the standards for, or instilling the standards of the organization, sorry, you've got to go. It is what it is. That affects, whether it's creativity, production, anything. You could be whatever color, but if you are costing the organization money, that's a problem. But the core is, in my leadership positions, it has always been about documentation from day one.
And we are an organization, VetJobs and Military Spouse Jobs, Denise, as you know, we are an organization of demanding peak performance because our clientele are military. Our clientele are military spouses and veterans and military kids. And Dana and I try very hard to set the pace. And because we're extremely driven for this mission to be successful, oftentimes we're seen as leaders who might be even too ambitious in our quest to make sure that we have all we have in the organization. In that light, Denise, how do we as executive leaders inside this organization find talent in diversity? Now, I know that's a loaded question and we will take two parts on that, but how do we search talent in diversity, or should we just be organic about that?
Now, as it relates to candidates, I mean, the one core thing about this organization is that all of our veterans are DOD, they were former DOD employees. And the DOD has one of the most diverse employment, well, they're the largest employer of diversity. So the benefit for our organization is we get those veterans, but what we are doing right now and how we're tracking, our numbers are actually tracking higher
Very
than
high.
the DoD.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a lot of work to do in terms of how we do outreach. You know, a lot of our diverse members are enlisted, former enlisted members. So we need to make sure that we're reaching out to our first sergeants, going to our sergeant majors academies, so that there's a flow of information. Reaching out to our LBGT QIA communities, our macho spouses. You know, we have to continually do our due diligence as we reach out.
That is so important, Denise. And we're now on the 15-minute mark. I want to continue our conversation. And I must say, maybe that's why it's been so easy to have diversity that's been so organic with vet jobs and military spouse jobs, because the DoD is the leader in diversity without even trying. I mean, it is just something that they are, and the talent pool that we have just is diverse. So thank you for pointing that out. We're at the 15-minute mark. We're going to end this session to learn more about diversity and inclusion and equity and accessibility. Denise and I plan to have 4 more series with really tough questions. If you have questions you would like Denise to answer, we're going to be putting up a website and our phone number on the website and on all of our production materials to ask Denise questions that you might have. And then Denise, we might even have more shows just as a Q&A. So thank you very much, Denise, for your time today. And thank you as an audience for caring about vet jobs and military spouse jobs as you do. Thank you.
Well, and I'll just add, you know, to our employer partners, you know, I am, you know, a part of a service to you, you know, as we work with our employer partners. So if you ever have any questions or concerns,
That's perfect. Thank you. For our employers, we really mean that. Come back to us, ask us questions. In fact, Denise and I actually will go out to corporations, to employers, and talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. Thank you, Denise.